There we go. Hello, you. Okay. So, um, I think today we're going to do, a bit of a seventh Fetter inquiry. We've been obviously talking a lot about this stuff since that's where we're at with the
Yeah,
curriculum.
we're creating material for the seventh fella at the moment.
So it seemed a timely thing to look into. So, I apologize. For some reason, I have been this like exhausted space cadet today. So
It's
this
very, very entertaining.
it's yeah, it could be interesting. We were joking ahead of time that it might end up being a silent meditation, in which case you guys just get to make something out of nothing, and it's a perfect seventh fetter exercise.
And if it starts to snow, you can make something out of nothing out of that as well.
Okay.
Go, babe. You got it.
All right, so get yourself comfortable. It doesn't matter which position you're in. I think we're going to be doing some of this with eyes open and some with eyes closed. So to begin with, take a deep breath, and on the exhalation, just let out all of the tension in the body. Take another deep inhalation, and on this exhalation, let out all of the expectations for this meditation. Take one last deep inhalation, and on this exhalation, let go of any thoughts that you have had about the day and about what's to come. Just resolve to be absolutely present right here in this moment. One of the key things that we talk about with the seventh fetter is this ability to make something out of nothing, which is our, or Pernille's, more down to earth way of saying form from formlessness. All throughout our day, we can't help but constantly create something from nothing. We might be doing it in terms of thought, making all sorts of stories out of simple assumptions or small sensations in the body. Something that somebody says that gets blown up into whole dialogues and whole worlds of consequence that haven't actually happened outside of our imagination. And it can be things as simple as taking the space in front of us that initially presents itself as one unified form of color and separating that out into separate parts and deciding that just one of those parts is a form unto itself and that it has an entire meaning and a life story and a name and a purpose and all of that, when what we have found in the sixth fetter is that we can't even really tell where the boundary of something is. So what I would like you to do to start with is to open your eyes and find any object that your eyes may land on easily. And notice immediately, the second that your eyes have found it, that you already seem to know what this thing is. There's already an entire world created around this object. So while holding your gaze on it, I'd like you to take a minute to allow your vision to go more to the periphery. Instead of feeling like you are focusing directly on this object, widen the gaze out to the sides and start to take in not just that object, but all of the space around it. See if you can start to consider this object as part of the environment in which it is existing. You can't define this object as having boundaries without defining the wall that you might see behind it or the other objects around it, without the light hitting it in such a way that it seems to create lines, distinctions, depth. So very gently allow your vision to blend so that this object starts to become more and more part of the entire visual field. Remember to relax as we do this. If you get tense and you feel like you're trying to make something happen, you're already defeating the process. The more calm and settled the mind is, the less apt it is to create these artificial distinctions. Notice as it starts to blend into the surrounding view, if what you initially took it to be starts to also dissolve with it. Can you really make a story out of this blur of color, out of these somewhat indefinable shapes? And if it has started to blend into the surrounding space, see if you can notice that the entire visual field is at this same plane where no particular shape or color is any more distinct than another. There is no separation outside of thought. You can feel that all of the visual field is becoming more and more just one abstract painting. Lots of indefinable blurs of shapes and colors. And just stay relaxed and allow it to maintain that sense of boundaryless abstraction. And then allow the eyes to move to another part of that abstract, flat painting, to whatever catches its attention. It might be because of the color, it might be because of another distinct shape that seems intriguing. But allow it to find that pattern, that place of color, and then be very, very aware as you put your attention on that spot of what happens as the brain starts to try to make sense of it. Be aware if it's trying to put a boundary around it to create a sense of this being separate from everything else. It can happen very, very quickly. Notice if you even feel sensations in the body that are like a grasping, like a feeling of needing to know what this is, needing to get a handle on it. Like there's almost an anxiety in ambiguity. And see if for a moment you're able to just keep it in that open, undefined, spacious, blurry color. If not, it's okay. Try to blur it back out again by paying more attention to the surrounding space. Right now, we're just trying to get a feel for what it feels like to need to grasp, to define something, to make it into something. So if you can go back to this flat, spacious, undefined image, again, allow the eyes to land on this or another patch of color. And just watch as that patch of color starts to take shape again. It starts to create a form. And notice as this is happening, how long it takes before you not only can see what it is, but that you also know the name of it. Does it have an immediate label that pops up alongside this seeming definition of it standing out against the background? Do you feel that tension in the body suddenly resolve once it has a name? And as soon as an object has a name, do you also recognize that you know what it's for? You know what you can do with it. This object has a purpose. It might not yet have a backstory, but you know what to do with it if you wanted to. And very quickly, most times when we know what an object is, we give it a name, we know its purpose, it will also come with some sort of a backstory. It's a backstory about where you got this item from, who gave it to you, where you purchased it, any memories that came up associated with that. Notice that any of those memories are not actually here right now in this room. Just like the label itself, the name of this supposed object is not actually on the shape itself. The name, the label of it, is something that is appearing in the mind. You're perhaps hearing it, just like you are seeing in the mind memories of where this object originally came from, or at least how it first entered your life.
Thank you, buddy. Okay, honey.
So recognize all of the additional labels and thoughts that are associated with this particular object. And notice how quickly and effortlessly they have come online. And then notice if you even have feelings of judgment about that object, likes and dislikes, approval or disapproval, maybe questioning its location, deciding that it's actually quite dirty and needs to be dusted, or it's a plant that needs water. Notice any of those adjacent thoughts that come up alongside of it. None of this has any relation to the object itself. The object that was minutes ago just an indescribable, indefinable form. It was a formless color. It was a pattern of light. And now all of a sudden it has an entire identity to it. But that identity is not inherent to it. That identity, all of its meaning, its history, every bit of that, the label, the judgments about it, are all a product of your own creation. Nothing has any inherent self-nature. You are imbuing everything that you encounter throughout the day with this artificial self-nature. And you do the same thing with your own thoughts about you and your own sensations in the body that you take to be the hallmark of where you reside. The feeling of doership, of agency, of ownership, all of the feelings of a self, the me, the witness, the experiencer, the perceiver, all of that is making something out of nothing. All of that is giving a label and a backstory and in self-nature to fleeting, changing moments of appearances. Thoughts arise and thoughts fade away. Bodily sensations arise and bodily sensations fade away. The two are not really connected, and the two do not in any way create a self. But in the same way that we make every colorful pattern that we see throughout the day into a discernible object, we take all of the energetic patterns that we encounter in our experience throughout the day and make those into some sort of a self. Notice even if you were not able to follow what I was saying today, and you weren't able to dissolve this object into the background, and then maybe you were able to do that, but you weren't able to notice how quickly all of the labels and everything arose on top of it. If you feel any sort of judgment for yourself about not being good enough at inquiry, not being far enough along, not being good at meditating, or any other of those judgments, recognize that those thoughts are all creating something out of nothing. They're creating a meditator or a spiritual seeker, somebody who is going to gain something by doing a practice. And they're creating a benefit, an idea that there is something to be gained and that something will improve if you just see this thing. And it's creating all of these judgments. Like, it's better to be able to follow an inquiry than it is to just fall asleep during it. But that's just a judgment based on nothing. Nothing has an inherent self nature or an inherent goodness or badness. Everything we think we are seeing, everything we think a certain object is, the nature that we decide about it, the judgments that we lay on it, the attributes we impose upon it, all of those are nothing but our creation. And if you let that go, if you truly have a moment of experiencing the world without creating that form out of the formless, without creating that something out of nothing, then you can't talk about it. There's nothing, there's no way to conceptualize any of it. It is simply a silent, empty spaciousness that doesn't need to be made into something else. When you are fully open and fully unidentified, and you are likewise not identifying into anything around you, there is nothing that can be said about any of it. There's nothing that can be known or grasped about any of it. But you can be aware that you might feel sensations in the body that are a little bit anxious about that. And that's okay. Just feel them. Recognize that they too have no quality of their own. A sensation that we attribute as an anxiety sensation does not have any inherent anxiety to it, nor does it have a positive or negative attribute to it. It's neither better nor worse to feel this sensation in the body. It's not something we need to get rid of if you just recognize that it is just sensation with absolutely nothing added to it. And from that place, there is nowhere to go. And there is nothing that needs to be done. Because everything is perfectly appearing as it appears. It's almost ludicrous to think that it needs to be different than it is, or that it could be different than it is. Because all of those needs and ideas are just our projections. If we stop projecting, they all dissolve immediately. So through the rest of this meeting and through the rest of the day, see if you can be aware of the patterns of the mind racing in, trying to make something where there originally was nothing. When you tell a story about your past, or you hear somebody else telling a story, recognize that it only has a limited relative truth. Recognize what is coming up in the emotions and in the sensations, and see if you can feel the non-inherent nature of them. If you can feel that there is no inherent okayness or not okayness, goodness, badness, rightness, wrongness, all of those are a judgment that is arising in the moment. and it does not touch the actual experience. See if you can notice those movements of mind, and then take a breath and try to release them. Try to come back to a moment of silence where you are not imposing anything upon experience. Simply arises and simply passes away. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It actually made me think of, do you remember the brilliant note that I had on the 10 pointers that I couldn't remember?
Yes.
So when I'm creating the material for the 10 pointers in the curriculum, there are like 10 pointers that we want to think of, and I have a document open for all 10 feathers, and then when I think of something, oh yeah, we really want to talk about that, I write it in the document. And one of the notes, we have just made the 10 pointers for the 7th feather, and one of the pointers was so brilliant that I couldn't remember what it was. And we were sitting, it was something about the identification that is with my body, my house. And I remembered now when you did it, what it was about. That's something out of nothing that we create in everything. Like Todd, he was saying in the meditation, just in the inquiry, that whatever you look at, it has a value for you. On its own, it's just, in this case, what we talked about, a meditation carpet.
Yeah.
Do you remember now what it's about? So we have a meditation carpet that we drag around with us every time we are meditating somewhere. We have this meditation carpet. And it's to us, it's a really amazing carpet. And we have had so many insights, and we have done the entire retreat on it. And, it really means a lot, and it's a very, very special meditation carpet. If any of you, wonder, it's really amazing. But if we went to Grace, our neighbor, and asked if she wanted the meditation carpet, she would look at it and go like, nah, thank you. Because it's a bit scratchy, it's quite used, So it's only an amazing meditation carpet because of what we add to it. On its own, if we asked our neighbor if she wanted it, she would go like, no. And it's like that with everything. The value that you put into your body, oh, I need to lose 5 pounds. That isn't something out of nothing. You look at your body and you judge it in some way, you have an opinion about it in some way. That is completely arbitrary. The body that you have, other people look at and go, that is my goal. And it's like that with everything. Every single part of your personality that you think is too much or too little or too loud or too quiet or too embarrassing or too shameful. For other people, that is a quality that they just would wish they had. So it's just something that you add to it that is not real at all. It's only in your own creation that becomes a thing. On its own, it's nothing. So that was what I thought. And
Lovely.
the other thing I thought was, should we suggest the dark glasses for the retreat on the 6-7?
I don't know. I mean, I think it would be an interesting thing, but we haven't really tried working with them yet.
Because
So
I think just now when you did it, I was sitting opening and closing eyes, and that added layer that is there when you close your eyes,
yeah.
it's a lot. It's really interesting. So I was thinking we can talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was
I think
only
that
because
would,
but the 6-7 inquiry is use a lot of
Yeah.
open eyes though.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then when they're not on the retreat using the
Yeah,
mask on, we can talk about that.
yeah. We've been inspired by I talked to somebody who is doing one of those dark retreats, and been we were watching some videos on that. It's like, this is intriguing. So we ordered some 100% blocking out
mask.
eye masks, and
And it's gonna try to do
yeah,
when we do the retreat in 2 weeks.
because we're doing the retreat with everybody else too. So we intend to actually be doing all of the meditations and the inquiries and everything right along with everybody else. So but we are contemplating maybe also doing it with eye
with the
masks
mask on,
to
so the part of it is also in
semi-dark
dark.
retreat.
Yeah.
Well, it's still yet to be determined, but maybe.
Yeah, they have those masks that you can actually, they're like hollow so that you can open your eyes while you have the sleeping mask on. I have those.
Do you?
Yeah, they're hollow so that they don't push on your, they don't lay, the fabric doesn't lay flat against your eyes, but it's hollow enough so that you can actually open your eyes when it's on.
Have you tried to do 6-7 fetter inquiries with them on, Jahira?
Sorry, something's coming up.
Okay.
I usually only use them to sleep, but I was thinking like the live meditation that you did the other day. Yeah, I was thinking like when I first ever started to learn how to meditate, which was like, 25 years ago, I remember really having to black out to do like a blackness. The book that I was reading taught me to do it where like just focus on the black instead of on the thoughts.
Mm.
And so that really helped me. Like I was able to just focus on the darkness to keep from going off into thoughts. And then the other day when you were doing that live meditation, what I realized is that when I'm feeling the sensations in the body, and I think that you did it something where you were like, try to stay focused on the feeling around the nose, like,
Yeah.
and then you said something like absorb completely into that sensation of the nose.
Yeah.
And it was like definitely like super intense for the body. It was almost like like the self was like, no, 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 don't go there, because it was like, yes, I was trying to absorb everything into it. I was trying to think of where I'm going down with this, but it has something to do with whenever I'm feeling the sensations in the body, there always is that image of the body, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like and like that meditation helped a lot because it helped me to absorb into the sensation as opposed to just feel the sensation with the thought of the body sitting in the chair.
Mm.
Like noticing, right, like from here, I noticed my shoulder down there, So I just wanted to share that was interesting that, just like when I learned to meditate to get away from the thoughts, it's like there's something else where you have to even get away from the thought of the body.
Mm.
Because there is that consistent image of the body. Like I feel the sensation, oh, that must be down here in my belly. Like I see myself sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
And that's also like something out of nothing that's so strong where we make this thing that, yes, this is where I am. This is where the sensation is. So that's all. And I have been doing go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting what you point to, because when you close, everybody can do that now. If you close your eyes and you imagine your hands, now if you really look into that image that you see, is that your hands?
Looking at the image.
Yeah.
In the mind.
Yeah. Because very often the image that we have in our mind is not even our hands. It's hands, but it's not exactly how our hands look. It's just hands. You can do the same with your feet. So close your eyes and imagine your feet. If you really look at it, you can see it's not your feet. It might be similar to what your feet looks like. But if you open your eyes and look at your feet, that was not the image you had. So even in the mind's eye, when we imagine our body, it's not even how it looks, really. That's how inaccurate the mind is. And we never question that. It's why a lot of the inquiries that Todd he's doing, they're so excellent, because he really, really dives into that and really, really question what it is that you just assume is. I could talk a lot about concepts at the moment, where it's really, really zooming into those concepts that you have, because a lot of things we just take for granted. Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, I know that that doesn't exist, but this is a real thing. But if you really, really look at it, really dive into it, the mind can't even create that accurate. Even your hands and your feet that you have had with you.
You have a hair that's like
Thank you.
poking at your eye. I'm sorry. I just need to get rid of that.
Thank you.
There we go.
It tickles.
Sorry.
The mind, that's the memory just before you close your eyes. That's the memory of just before you close your eyes, of what you thought, how you were sitting, or
Yeah, but for example, your hands and your feet, you've had them with you your entire life. And even when you close your eyes and imagine them, they're not accurate. When you open your eyes and look at them, you go like, oh yeah, I forgot about that blood vessel there and that freckle there.
And actually, like when you said to do that, I was sitting here with my eyes closed, obediently doing that. And thank you. And what's funny is that the image of the hands is actually smaller than the sensation of that the hands are taking up. Like the sensations of the hands is bigger than the image that's there. And then the image was also like a very vague, impressionistic version of a hand that was not at all not at all accurate, towards what they were. And then when I opened up my eyes, it was, they were actually even in a different position than the mind had put them in, and slightly different placement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting.
Yeah.
You also have a client that whenever they are in one-to-ones with you and you do inquiry with them, they take the mask on.
Yeah.
So everything is locked out. It's just your voice that is there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jahara.
Thank you. All right, Rowena was first.
Hi.
Hey,
Hello.
how you been?
So nice to be able to be with you guys. I wish I could do the retreat, but it's sort of too busy. I've had been having really interesting experiences with 6, mostly, and some very intense, actually, but mostly energetic, but very intense. Sometimes I think sort of like symbolic of a authority figure, probably mother, and being very tiny, and living actually through one experience that was sort of pure terror, which was, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago. But after your Todd, your meditation with the closing of the eyes, one eye and the other, and then doing the half eyelid, I noticed a pushing away of this of distance, and it was like, no, it's just like it's not in the same place. It's not in the same place, and at the same time, I noticed that a lot of, you could give it a label of fear or some sort of, it's not safe. But, and I don't know if it's just because my body has not been a safe place to be in. So it was like projecting the outside, that I can't let the outside encroach on me because I'm not safe in here. And last night, so I was doing it, that just before going to turning my lights out, light and dark. And then I thought, okay, I'm just going to lie here with my eyes closed and I'm going to do the seeing, and I'm going to see how close it can come. So there's 0 distance, and it was extraordinary because I think it was all sort of tension, fear trapped in I guess the psoas muscle, because it was very much second chakra, and this huge tension down in the quadriceps down to my knees. And so I just sort of sat there. It was pretty clear up, and I just sort of said, "What, just let it be closer and live through this." I don't know how long it took, until gradually I could feel it was like draining down lower and lower and lower. And then all of a sudden I could be fully absorbed into or dissolved into. There was no distance at all with all the pushing away that was in the body. The body has become, I think for the first time ever, without tension, but being caused by this type of experience, the 6, I guess 6. And because of that, today, and then opening my eyes and realizing, oh, the tension's gone, I can get back into this, close my eyes and get back into the visual field with eyes closed, and then opening. And there was a little bit of resistance, but then it moved away, and it's just like this pure field of sensation, but it's just sensation, very sort of like sensual. The visual fields has become very sensual. And so doing the 7th fetter of naming, it's like there's absolutely there's sometimes like little tiny little something, but then mostly it's like, oh, I see that's taken me away from the visual fields and the sensualness of it. And so it's like return back into that. And so there's sort of like almost no need to do the grasping, because the sensory experience is sort of stronger than the mental experience. And so I just that's where I'm sort of at. And
I love it.
It was amazing how the 6th fetter work, and it has been ongoing for quite a long time, for having fear higher up, but how little by little it really has presented, old sort of fear just held in the body energetically, because there's no stories, it's just somehow the brain or some sort of, pre-verbal thought or way of experiencing the environment, that there was a feeling of not being safe. And so amazing.
So
love it
wonderful.
so much. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Do you have
Did
something? No. Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't really have much to add to that. I don't think it was just.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. It's such a, because it can't, that fear, that sort of anxiety that doesn't even necessarily have to have a name, as you put it.
No, but it honestly, at one time, it was terrifying. And it went, and I stayed with it. And I'm not at all like, I think I'm an ectomorph or something. I mean, if I can move, and I do, sometimes I've done some TRE or I've got a vibrator thing, but I have to be, and I'm a freezer, and I have to just be in that experience. And now I know I've got the wherewithal to just stay and then feel somehow whatever it is that creates the sensations, of however extreme they are. I mean, the really terror one, it was okay, I don't know that it was a full ready to meet my death experience, or the death of the self, because of course I was then called and had to go upstairs. But so that might, it wasn't a complete, but that's how intense 6.
That's amazing.
6 and 7 has been for me. And I think that's helpful to share, because just like be in that.
I also noticed the muscles that you mentioned with the psoas and the quadriceps, the front of your thigh. The psoas is, like you say, it's where all trauma that we have that is unresolved is hidden there. And psoas massage is really, really good at letting go of that unresolved trauma that we have. It's what can give lower back issues and so on. But the quadriceps, the front of the thigh, that's the kicking muscle. It's the way that you kick away from you, kick out of you. And if it is something pre-verbal, then it's very, very old. And then you, from a very early age, have learned that you can't say your mind. You cannot ask to have your needs met. You cannot, stand up and take up your space and stand sturdy on your legs. You cannot kick off, say no like that. And then we get tension in the thighs. And that gives that fear of death that you talked about. So you having had that feeling in the muscles always and tie that in with anxiety completely makes sense. You kicking away and saying no, not being able to do that creates anxiety. And that is a full life walking around with that one.
Yeah, and in EMDR and working with the womb, being in the womb, so much anxiety.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So it'll be interesting to see how that will have changed after this facing and just saying, just being with it and just dissolving into it.
Yeah. Love it. Love it so much.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Thank you so
guys.
much. Thank you so much.
Okay. And Anna is next. Yay, it worked. Hey, Anna. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now.
we got you.
Yes.
Something came up a couple days ago, like that emotional, like very old stuff. And the very same pattern was coming up, like, previously. And so but it was like it's like residue. It's not like very emotionally, like strongly charged, but it's like echo, like a residue, just like a wee bit left something there. So it feels like pretty subtle, and it requires like very, very like tuning into it and just really, really just seeing what is there. So it's just really feeling into that like very subtle sensation and looking in the mind mechanism, like what is happening, and just like holding attention in both and see what beliefs coming up, and that's just sensation is just like very, very here, just like here. And what came up, it was like, I am excluded, I'm unloved, rejected, something wrong with me, I'm bad, all that type of stuff. And what was seen at that moment is as funny as it sounds, but normally it feels like something external, other people or circumstances triggering what I felt on that story. But in that moment, when I was really tuning into that and looking into that mechanism, there was a clear scene that mind is actually creating its own suffering.
Yeah.
But for a purpose not to suffer. That's not a purpose to suffer, but a purpose to recreate that sensory experience is actually to relieve it again.
Yes.
So it can be eventually felt like it's like unfinished business.
Yeah, it's why we call it a metaphor.
Yes, yes. And it was just like, it was so clearly seen in that moment. And when I felt into that sensation, it just felt like the only picture just came up, like a like holding a newborn baby.
Mm.
That gentleness, that softness, and that, like that's just so much care required, just like a whole newborn baby.
Mm.
And, like if that is done for that sensation, all this beliefs just falling away.
Yeah.
Because these beliefs like I am unwanted, I am rejected, and I am this and I am that and I am that. That is actually not about this entity what we believe we are, but this is just that's very sensation. That's what
Yes.
it is.
Yes.
And when we are pushing that sensation away, when we are excluding it, and I don't want you the way you are, I don't want you here. You're bad, something is wrong with you. That is that sensation. There is no an entity. And yeah,
Exactly.
so yeah, and that
Exactly.
was just, oh, it was just like, yeah.
It's such a freedom. It's such a
Yeah.
freedom when you really realize that all the things you have been running away from your entire life, it's not real. It's just something that in this moment needs to be felt. And that felt experience, it's 7 to 11 seconds, and then it's done.
It
And
was
that's it. And if you don't add anything to it, then it's the only thing that the body is really yearning for. It's just
Yeah,
us
yeah.
creating space for that. Oh, I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
Done. And then it's done,
Yes.
and there's nothing more in it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just, just requires as much gentleness as holding just
Yeah.
that wee newborn baby. Yeah, it's just like, and it just feels like so here. And it's just like,
Yes.
it's just so beautiful.
It is. It is. It is.
And then once, like that happened, and I remember I was sitting just that feeling of gratitude, like
Yes.
to be allowed to see it.
Yeah.
Feel it, yeah. It was very beautiful
It
experience.
is, and that exactly that experience is what we mean when we say setting yourself free and setting others free. Because then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you are in that space where everything that is experienced, even if it's somebody's being, standing and yelling at you, all that is experienced as holding a small baby. With
Yeah.
that sensitivity, of what do you call it? Vulnerability that
Yeah.
is in that, you can hold that space for the other person as well, no matter how they express themselves in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Um it was very interesting. It was exactly on my birthday.
Oh, amazing.
I said my
Congratulations.
birthday gift.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. And with if, like, that seeing no distance and things like that, it's just like it comes and goes and comes and goes, and at times it's just that like flattening,
Yeah.
like very just like flattening like screen, and it feels like you put your head in the screen and like watching 3D film, or just wearing that mask, yeah. And I really just like watching the 3D film. Everything feels like here, but you can't physically touch it.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
And what I have noticed is it's that because it's not like it hasn't like fully gone or whatever, is a distance still and subject object still perceived here. And at times what I have noticed when cars oncoming, like first of all, they all feel like they going through even if that is on the side. But sometimes there is like a jump, like a car oncoming or girls running, like that's was waiting for my boy at school today, and girls are leaving the school and running, and I just like, oh, they're just like running on me. And they are far away.
Yeah.
They're not even that close, but that what feels like things are just like oncoming on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how flexible our experience of the boundaries of what we take ourselves to be actually are.
Yeah.
And I think it's always important to just mention though that we're never talking about the actuality of the or the objective reality of the experience. It's always, noticing that the way that we create the world and the way that we create our image of where I am and who I am and what I am inside of it is constantly malleable, changing, flexible, but that it doesn't mean that there's an objective truth to it at any one of those stops. So it's not that this way that I'm experiencing the world right now is objectively true. And then when I have this blown out psychedelic experience 10 minutes later where I feel like I'm stretching out 5 miles in each direction, that one is now objectively true. It's all
it's really important to hold on to the impermanence,
Exactly.
that an experience happens in a now, and the next moment that now is not there anymore. That is way in the past 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, exactly. And that we don't take any one of those as this absolute truth of how things really are and then get locked into that. And that's why it's also, you don't have to get locked into the coming and going of the two-dimensionality or the flipping. It's just the way that it is. It's just now you're experiencing the world in a way where all of a sudden, oh yeah, there is no distance between anything. And then another time, there's distance again. And it's just recognizing it's not making one of those a better or more desired state than another. It's just recognizing that neither of those has an inherent truth in it, that this is the way things really actually are. And just being open to that.
And that is also creating the space for what you're experiencing, Anna, that it's not something magnificent that someone can, aim for experiencing, because that is the grasping in it. But if you just let it go, it happens and then you're out of it, and then it happens and you're out of it. And that is normal.
Yeah.
That is normal. Just like you might sit and notice all the sounds that you hear, and now you're really focused on the conversation, then you don't hear the sounds. And then when you're not focused on the conversation anymore, you start to hear the sounds again. That is awakening. That is how it is, because that's how it is to be in the world. For some people, it is that psychedelic experience. For the majority of us, it's not. It's just a really, really becoming aware of identification and attachment that is loosening. And like, I'm seeing like, a dandelion where they kind of like float off, where you just let go of them. So there's a freedom in the experience to experience exactly what you talk about. That, then the cars are super close, and the day after everything is normal again. And that's how it is. That's how it is.
And it's
actually so glad you explained that, because in my head there was this imagination. It has to be something wow, first of all.
Yeah.
And second thing, like if that flatness, that distance collapses, that's it. That's just the way it's going to be. No distance, and that's it. I'm so appreciative you explained that. It's just normal to go back and forth.
It is. It is. It is. We talked about that. Lots of hair. That the it's not your hair, but it's okay. You don't have to apologize.
I'm apologizing for your hair.
It's the similarity that we use in comparison is a bit like, when you're a child and you're afraid of the dark, and you create all of those like images of a monster under your bed, and a monster in the cupboard, in the closet, and you need a nightlight on because you don't like it completely dark. At some point you grow out of that, and it happens slowly, and suddenly you are 11 years old and you sleep in the dark, and you're not afraid of monsters under the bed, and you're not afraid of anybody in the cupboard, in the closet. And that shift that is happening, that's similar to the awakening. Because we keep pushing the reboot button on our experiences over and over and over, we forget where we used to be. We forget that we used to be afraid of the dark, and we used to see monsters in the darkness and all that. It's the same with the awakening. We forget that we used to identify as an I. We used to be super offended when our sister or family or friends said something. We used to be so offended, and now we're not anymore. We used to, whatever, and now we're not anymore. The awakening is exactly that when you detach you forget about it. It's not an issue anymore, which means there's not really anything to talk about either, because it's not a big deal anymore. You're just not afraid of the dark. There's not much to talk about. And for some people, that is a huge experience, and it comes like almost like a psychedelic experience, like, wow, I'm not afraid of the dark. Listen to this. I'm not afraid of the dark. For the majority of us, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm not afraid of the dark anymore, you know? And it's what we spend a lot of time on talking about, how normal the awakening experience is for the majority of us. For the majority of us, it's something that is just a slowly turn on the kaleidoscope, and the picture is completely changed. And after a year, it's a completely different picture, and you've forgotten that it's a completely different picture. For the majority of people, that is how awakening is experienced.
It's exactly as you're saying. Exactly. It's just such a small,
Yes.
small, tiny shifts on and on and on and on, and something changing, and you don't even notice them, like
Yeah.
a big change. And just, like if you think back in time, oh yeah, I see a
Yeah.
difference now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also about like few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago or month, something like that, it came up, and it was like I was going on like that. This pattern was like for a week. I don't know what I am, but there was no panicking. I was panicking like a while ago. Then it kind of got okay with not knowing what I am, and then it's kind of adapted here, and it's just like completely normal. I just don't know what I am, and that's it. Stories, no one's there. I'm not denying the story, and like if story needs to be worn as a clothes, you can put it on and just like fully play that, and there is no issues with that either. And another day, was going out, like in the town, and just like, oh, I don't know where I am. I really just felt you're not in the body, you're not inside, you're not outside. You don't actually, you can't like not like you can't locate a city or country, but you can't locate like where are you?
Yeah,
I just felt like something airy.
Yeah,
that's great.
exactly.
That was
Exactly.
another very
Yeah.
strange thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I just want to, in a bracket that has nothing to anything, I just want to make sure that you have it in the back of your mind. When those experiences start to become more, that you feel more and more that you are a part of everything, and that there's no boundary to the experience, there's no inside and no outside, it's just completely dissolved. That's the 8th fetter. Careful with not falling into the trap of identifying with that. We often hear, when we talk about the first fetter, it's the little I. But in the 8th fetter, a lot of people, they talk about the big I. It's still an I. There's still
It's
identification.
It is like, I am awareness, or I am like consciousness, something. Yeah, it's actually, this is exactly what I was talking to someone today. And, like that's what I said. If I used to identify, I am person called Anna. Now I'm changing this identification into I am awareness, for example.
Yes.
But that is still identification. And where is
Exactly.
this I who is identifying, who is like who is calling itself as awareness now? And also, like where can you find awareness? Where is it?
Doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
doesn't exist.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
That's actually a very good point.
yeah, and it's just, and for a lot of people, it's helpful listening to Rupert Spira and all of the others that talk about the big I, and talk about I'm part of the universe, and I'm part of all of that. It's helpful, and I absolutely support people that need that as a break, but just know that it is identification, and that will fall too.
Yes, this is exactly as you're saying, as Rupert Spire and Muji, and there's other
Yeah.
people, like saying about this I am sense and all this. This actually what led to first initial shift.
Yeah.
And then when I got into Fetters, when I realized that is actually Fetter 8, and also that is
Yes.
breaking, and there is beyond 9 and 10. Yeah, that's, like
Exactly.
that was kind of like letting go of idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's why we're pairing the 1st and the 8th, because both of them are identification with an I. either,
Mhm.
you know, small I or capital letters, as if that is
Mhm.
even possible.
Yeah, because if I look at that, there is still some kind of I, even if that I can be found in the body, can be found anywhere. There is still some kind of I, which is
Yeah.
saying I am.
Which
Yeah,
needs to be dissolved. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank
you.
you.
Oh, actually, I just want to throw in one little thing. It's kind of like 7 minutes ago or something, but but just for you and everybody else who's doing like sixth Fetter stuff right now. When you were talking about, you know, like sometimes things are really close and two-dimensional, and sometimes they're kind of out there. It's really helpful to notice that we're not just looking at the visual field itself. It's really about where there seems to be a witness in relation
Mm.
to that visual field. And so just noticing, like, does it feel like there's a more of a you or a witness or something when things seem spacious and you know there's a distance compared to here? How, you know, what is the internal experience of that sort of difference? Like, does it feel qualitatively different in terms of my identification when it feels like I'm located here and the room is spread all around me compared to everything is just like right here and there's no front or back and nothing, you know, that's able to see it from a distance or a separation?
Mm.
That's really a key thing that we're looking for with that
Yeah.
kind of experience.
And also, like Jeff also pointed out, with when you have that, no, I am not identifying like a subject object anymore. Who is noticing that you're not identifying
Yeah,
as a subject
yeah.
object? Is there's like
Mhm.
a little blob of a
Mhm.
identification into not doing, but who is noticing that?
Yeah, totally.
Is it like you know, like that's like bodily sensation and seeing, and there is like no boundary between it? It's just, you know, like that kind of just same experience, and the same as with the first Fetter, you know, you just turn around and just look who is looking at that, who is
Yes.
perceiving that. Is there anyone actually behind there?
Yes.
Yeah, and also who is doing the scene to
Yes.
looking for that? Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. In the
Yeah.
visual field, does it feel like there is anything separate from the visual field that could actually
Yeah.
be seeing or taking in or knowing or recognizing the visual field?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
is there actually anything standing apart from seeing itself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Mhm. Thank you.
Exactly.
Love it.
Thank you.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Keep
you.
up the great work.
Yeah,
It's
it's
always good to
amazing. And
hear.
I just
Good.
need a pillow for my feet.
Okay, and I kind of need the bathroom. So,
We can't both leave bed.
well, I mean, okay, hold on a second. So Irene, you're up next. Just like a 2 minute, maybe one and a half
I can
minute.
take a read.
Okay, okay, I'll be
Hello.
back. I'll be here momentarily. I will add you. Hi, Irene. And
Hello,
bye, Irene.
good to see you. Bye, Irene. Bye, Irene. Oh, careful.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, you're very far away. Can you turn up your volume?
Oh, yes. Is that better?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, so grateful for the emphasis on impermanence and lack of identification and not identifying, not even as awareness. Those are such important points, and I appreciate those.
Good.
And I was remembering where I was when I started this Fetter work, remembering I was on a walkabout in my car and I was listening to Todd as I drove to parts unknown, not knowing where I was headed really. And my brother at the same time was headed to Cedars-Sinai in LA with internal bleeding, and he is now just days away from transitioning. And when I started, I was really a neck up kind of gal. I was not distinguishing between thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions. I mean, and to see the freedom that is being enjoyed here now is just incredibly dramatic.
No.
It went from, yes, being awakened to, yes, this embodiment is extraordinary.
Mm.
So first of all, I just want to express my appreciation for the gift that this has been.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are a couple things I want to touch on that have shifted dramatically. One is there was no recognition that there was an absence of safety until I really felt safe.
Yeah.
And it was just, I want to say it was grace. I came away from a 3-day experience that I attended, and it felt as if I was floating in a sea of safety, that there was safety everywhere. And it was only because there was this recognition of safety that I recognized, oh my God, I've been swimming in very shallow waters of safety. That really wasn't safety at all. And so now there's this safety. Huge. I was driving down the road the other morning, and there was a dead raccoon on the side of the road. And there was a shift in the way that there would normally have been certain sensations and emotions, and I would do a thing like this with my hand and thank the raccoon for having been here and wish him well on his journey, or her well on her journey, or it well on its journey, or whatever. And all there was when I saw the dead raccoon was, oh yeah, oh yeah, the vultures will come soon and take the body of that raccoon. Oh yeah, inherent to life is it, not to life, inherent to birth is death, and everything that's born will die. Of course, it's just the way of it, isn't it? There's nothing, there's no emotion, just it's the way of it. Everything that's born dies. Everything. And there was such a peace, an incredible peace with that. And then on Mother's Day, and I want to just backtrack a moment. A few years ago, I have some Leland pines, a grove of Leland pines on my on the land here, and I was standing underneath the pines, and I looked up and I saw that they were diseased. There was all this brown, and there underneath the trees, and I called a tree specialist, and the tree specialist came out, and we stood underneath the Leland pines and looking up, and he said, oh yes, these are diseased and they will probably need to be cut down within the year. There's no saving them. And he left, and I wept, and I wept. I have a deep connection with the trees, and I wept, and then I put my arms around the tree, this one tree. There's 5 of them, and I put my arms around this one tree, and I was expressing so much gratitude for its existence and sending so much love. And at the time I was doing some energetic work, and I spent about 40 minutes just loving on this tree. And I did the same thing for the next couple of days. And then winter came, and then spring came, and the man who mows our lawn approached my husband, and he said, Mr. Kendig, the Leland pines are looking just fabulous. And my husband relayed the message, and I said, oh, he must not have looked up. He must not have looked to see where it was diseased. So I ran down to the Leland pines, and I looked up, and there was just green through and through. It was so magnificent. And so on Mother's Day, I went down to the Leland pines, and I placed a chair in front of this one particular tree, and I had an urge to stand on the tree, on the chair, and I reached up with my arm. I was touching the tree, but my arm was extended, and I said to my mother, "Happy Mother's Day." And I felt her just really come. I felt her presence so incredibly. She was right there, the essence of who she is. And I realized that the tree was being a conduit, like a conduit. And I said to my mother, I said, "We really had a tumultuous journey, and I'm really grateful to have made that journey with you." And she laughed, and I felt her laughter, and I laughed. And that was it. And then I sat down on the chair and was just being just being present. And then I had the urge to stand up again on the chair. And if you'll recall, my brother and I have not spoken for 3 years, 2 years, and he's now in his final days. And I am totally at peace with it, with things as they are. And I stood up on the chair again. And I'm not sure how this happened, but I reached my hand up again, and suddenly I was connecting with my brother. And I don't know whether there was witnessing or something was happening. I don't know, but this platform of safety, I recognized there was a platform of safety that had been created for my brother, because he's very much in fear as he makes this shift. And there was this platform of safety that was built, and I didn't know whether it came through me or whether I was witnessing it, but there it was. And I realized that it was a support for him, a very much needed support. And I thanked him for his willingness to meet me in this way and to be open to meeting me in this way. And it was so beautiful. And I'm just so deeply grateful for this opportunity to to recognize this body and to move through the world in a way that is so deeply, deeply, I have no words. I just have no words. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, I was going to say, I mean, all extremely beautiful. The safety is a really interesting thing for so many of us, that there's the idea of safety is itself obviously like a concept that we create the idea of something being safe or unsafe. And it's very much out of that seventh fetter, taking in what we think is in our environment, what we think our experience is, and making that into something. But also, a lot of it is being derived from these very subtle sensations in the body that we often completely miss. I had a really vivid experience of it, similar in a way to what you were talking about, where I never realized how completely on edge I was all the time until we went to Denmark for the first time. And I realized that there was something there that felt so safe, that that internal on alert, that internal like alarm bell that was always on, where I was always looking around to be aware, had suddenly gone away. And I didn't really realize it until it was not there anymore. And it was just, oh, that is a very big difference in a way of being. And but realistically, what was happening there is that there's some sort of sensation in the body that feels kind of, there's this very subtle vibration kind of feeling. There's this little bit of extra alertness when I'm in certain places looking around, and kind of, the body is like on alert, taking things in. And that little bit of alertness and little bit of bodily sensation gets made into the idea of unsafety, that there's nothing actually in that moment that is unsafe. It's completely our perception of a situation that we're creating in our minds out of these sensations in the body. And I think the more we get aware of however we experience it, like you had your experience, I had going to Denmark. I guess that's a good enough one for everybody if you just want to go to Denmark. It's a very, very safe place. It's very nice. You can really let your guard down. But feeling that change, it gives you something to recognize when it's how it feels when it's not there, when the stories aren't being made out of those sensations. And then when those sensations do come back, it's just recognizing that this doesn't tell me anything about my environment necessarily, that there is just a sensation happening and there is just alertness that is not personal. It's not a me who is being extra alert and unsafe. It's just something is happening in the biology that is putting this around. And so I think in that, but it's that kind of feeling of unsafety that leads to what we've talked to a couple people already about with the sixth fetter issue of not being able to feel like you are able to really relax, let the guard down, allow things to come to you, to collapse that feeling of distance, and in all sorts of other experiences that we can possibly have. I think it's a barrier for us to experience a lot of things that are potentially on offer.
Yeah.
If we have that idea that I need to stay protected, I need to stay safe in some way, and it's so self-referential and so self-protective, self-reinforcing, this idea that as that starts to let go, then all sorts of different experiences are possible, because we're not deriving everything from this little um, uh, condensed, contracted, identified sort of way of being.
Yes.
Yeah, but really, really good answer. Yeah, I didn't really hear a question, and I'm really, really bad if I'm not getting a specific direct question, then I'm really, really bad. And what I'm saying now, if you in any way feel offended or anything, please, say so. I don't mean to offend in any way at all. That was the disclaimer and warning sign and everything.
Gotcha.
I'm wondering how much you are aware of the identification that is happening in the stories that you make, because there's the way that I see it is, and please correct me if I'm wrong in any way. The way that I see it is that you're kind of playing yourself smaller by making a story, and I'm curious about that. So when you have a story where you go down to the tree and you reach up your hand and you feel the contact with your mom, all that, as you know, can only happen in your mind. Your mom is not there. If there's no I anywhere, there can't be any ghost or spirits or anything, because they never existed. So your mom is still alive in your mind. That's why we in the seventh fetter, we can heal the past, because the past is happening right now, and we can travel in time from the horizontal into the vertical. So when you say that you're at the tree and you're reaching a hand up and your mom is there and you're having a connection with your mom and a conversation with your mom, the way that I see it is you're playing yourself small when you make that story, instead of just staying in that power that is the space right there, where there's not an Irene, there's no hand reaching, there's no mom, there's no story, there's just a meeting of and a healing of a story that is old.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
And I'm curious to why you play it small, why you make it into stories instead of just owning it.
Right. I don't know, how would I convey anything then, if not through?
Not through stories. Well, you just
Well, I guess
you just saw Anna do it.
You
Anna
what?
just did it. Anna just did it in her, yeah, when Anna was just before here. she did it without a story. It was just a present tense expressing of what she had experienced then. It was not into a story, which means that
Right.
Anna didn't play it small.
Right.
So there's something about that playing it small and the unsafety, and that in my ears ring into the same story that is maintained.
I appreciate that, and I'm wondering if there's something that could be seen right here a little further, because I'm open to letting go of stories clearly.
Yeah.
I don't know
So-
what the attachment is to the story.
No, it's the way that I hear it. It's something about you playing it smaller. You believe it. It's that paradox with us trying to play it small and feeling that we're taking up too much space
Okay.
in
I
the
got it.
same, double-sided, trauma thing.
Yeah, so there's still some work to do there in terms of feeling small.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when you have the connection with your brother,
Mm-hmm.
know that there's not an Irene, there's not a brother, that's just this sensory experience that is happening right now. And with that, you can be your brother. With that, you can be in the space where he's alive and he's dead. Irene's, it's Schrödinger's brother, alive and dead at the same time. You know what I mean?
Can you say a little more about that?
When you say that he's in a transition right now, first I thought he was transitioning to another gender, but then I understood that you mean the other transitioning, the other transitioning.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's dying at the moment, which all of us are,
Right.
all of
Yes.
us can die before your brother. We do not
Yes.
know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally
So-
get that. Yeah.
So that being in a transition, we're all in a transition.
Yes.
We're all dying right now.
Yes.
There's none of us that is dying more than any of
Right.
the other ones. We are all dying. And right this moment, all of us are equally alive and dead in this moment right now.
Mhm.
So the fear that your brother is feeling, he might think is about his dying.
Mhm.
We know that it's not. He also had that fear when he was fully alive and 18 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
becomes more apparent when we believe that the physical body is more dying than anybody else, if I can say it like that. But
Yes.
if you keep staying in that space where you know that this moment right now, we are all alive and dead at the same point, and there's not anything that can be any different than this, and there's no story about it.
Yeah.
So there's just an opening of heart and an opening of space, and there's no
Yeah.
story about it.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
in your case, the story is minimizing your experience,
Mhm.
and you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Wow. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, really
Thanks very
beautiful.
much.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
so good
you.
seeing you. Yeah. Okay. No other hands are up. Does anybody else have comments, questions,
Do we have
funny anecdotes?
do we have an inquiry before the retreat? We don't, do we?
Oh, another one of these meetings? No, I think this is the last one
This is the last one until after
after the retreat. Yeah.
So when is the next date? Because we don't have Q&As at the moment.
No, actually, this is the last one for a while now.
It
that I
is,
think of
isn't it?
because we don't have one on the 11th. We would normally have one on the 11th, but we don't.
don't.
Then we don't have one on the 18th because that week is also off. So it's actually the week after that, which is
Could
the
you check it?
25th.
I don't think it is. I think it's in the
But
da, da,
we're-
da, 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 da,
we really
da.
have like a lot of little pauses today.
We do.
Doing this stuff. Yeah, 25th of June.
So
Okay, sidebar. Okay, okay, your mom comes the day after.
great. So the next inquiry is the 25th.
25th of June. Yeah.
If you
That's a
guys,
solid month away.
yeah, it is. So next time we see all of you, it's gonna be at the retreat.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are in Discord. Could we just have a few moments talking about Discord?
Yeah, yeah. I think I've got most people who have signed up for the retreat on Discord, but if you have not already signed up, please do. Please reach out to me if need be, if you need the link, and then send me your display name, and I will give you access to the retreat chat and text chat, and then also the 3 live video retreat rooms.
And also, if you're not going to the retreat, I can warmly recommend you to be on Discord.
Yeah.
Because there are lots of wonderful people in there, and you can ask questions about anything that is happening in your life right now. And there will be somebody answering.
Yeah.
And so far, it looks like there's a month. If you're not coming to the retreat, we're not meeting until a month from now, on the 25th.
But Discord is really good. We've got about 120 members on there so far.
Yeah, it's a really, really good
nice.
community to reach out if you have any questions, or be the one that is answering questions for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, or we're
Is
just gonna
there-
have a short meeting today? Oops. Always okay too.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't have Q&A at the moment because it's summer.
Yeah.
And we are doing spontaneous meditations, which is either on the curriculum page or YouTube page, or on the Unfettered mindfulness page.
Yep.
And it's just, click on the subscribe and the little bell, and then you get a notification. And I will post in the curriculum members area the moment we know that we're going to do something, so you get an alert there as well.
Try to give you at least half hour to an hour advance notice.
But it's just when we meditate, it would be nice if you guys could join too.
Yeah.
We meditate anyway.
And we really are hoping during the retreat, we plan to be on because there's the silent practice room on Discord for the people who are doing the retreat. And we plan to hopefully also be on that while we're meditating and doing our practices. And we hope everybody else uses it as much as they can also.
And there's also the place where you can go in and ask questions if you have questions. We have different supporters that are joining the retreat and helping out. So you can go in and have a video chat with anybody who's in the room. Or have lunch together.
Yeah, we really want it to be like a virtually in-person retreat, so that it's just cozy, feel like there's a sense of community there, even though we're literally spread all over the world. It's just taking advantage of the technology to try to make it as
cozy as possible.
Okay.
Is there any questions? This is an early day.
It is. I got a session in a while, so it's okay.
It's been so nice seeing all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
And if you're for the retreat, see you in 2 weeks. So looking forward.
Yeah.
And if you're not for the retreat, then see you on the 25th.
Have a great month.
Yeah.
See you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. I think it's on the dot. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Everyone. Hi.
Yvonne and Irene and Anna and Lynette, Leela and Ella and Sis. Good to see you, Sis.
Yeah.
And Glenda. So nice.
Sorry.
And yes, Rubina. So nice. Thank you, Lena. Very nice. It's always I love that.
Okay.
Sitting and watching people enter. It's so nice.
Nice. Mm,
Here we go.
it's gonna be one of those days.
It is. Linda had a haircut. It's one of the advantages with autism. I notice everything. Also, if your hair is like just like half an inch shorter. So nice. You're gonna do a meditation, Sven.
I am. Oh, wait, what did she say? This is what I get when I click on the link you posting on YouTube. Oops.
Oh,
Oh.
how weird is that?
So that was the one that you posted
Yes,
on.
this morning.
That's weird. It never works for me. I'm not sure if I'm
Okay.
same here. All right. So,
Okay,
oh,
I'm
wow.
just gonna
Yeah.
could you send me the link here on WhatsApp, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
go to my computer and post the real one?
Yeah. Moment of technical
Dun, 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 dun,
invite,
dun, dun, dun,
copy
dun,
invite
dun,
link.
dun, 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 dun. Now just go to my computer and
Okay.
put the right one in. That's really good.
Be 1 minute, guys. Hang with us.
Thank you, Jahira.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up. Huh. So Cleona, what do you mean by manually entering everything?
Like you have to enter the meeting ID and the password, and then you can join. So
Oh.
the actual link is okay, but I think there's a setting that prevents you from entering with the link.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
We'll have to check because
I mean, the link is not clickable, but the meeting ID and the password works, basically. Yeah.
okay. Interesting.
And Todd, you sent me a link months ago, and when I first started, and I saved that. But in that link, it links you to Facebook, and follow the link.
Oh,
And
weird.
it works. It's the only one that works, but every time Pernille sends it out, it never works.
Oh, okay. That's super interesting. I'll have to see which one I'm sending out then. And which one, well, I'm curious if this one works differently because this is coming straight from the invitation link from this particular meeting.
On my Zoom, and I don't pay for Zoom, it just says join a meeting, and I do have a little post-it here with the meeting numbers and the ID, just the end of the numbers, and it's already there, and all I have to do is put in I don't follow any links, I just go to join a meeting and then find Fetter's Inquiry group and then just put in the password. So I don't know if anyone's done it like that. That's the way I do it.
Okay, good to know. This is very odd.
I do that for all the meetings, unless it's a brand new one that I've never done before.
Thank you. Yeah, because like this is, Pernilla's account. On mine, I think I have it set up so that I always just have a waiting room but no password. But your account might also, because I know it generates a password. I just didn't know if anybody actually needs to use it or not.
No, I don't know either.
Okay,
But-
we'll
but
have to
we
look
do
into
have
that.
No, nobody needs to use it on her account.
Okay. Okay.
I have to use the password, but I just have it
Really,
written
you
down.
do? To get into this meeting
Yeah.
this morning, you had to use it?
Yeah. But as I said, I go to.
Oh, because you're
thing
joining
that says-
without the link. If you go without the link, yeah, you need.
Yeah, without the link. Yeah.
But I join with the
Okay,
link,
it's the same
and
link.
I have to use the password.
Really?
Mhm.
So
I have to use I have to use both the account numbers,
Oh,
the journal numbers,
Pernille, you
and
can
then
click something to turn that off.
okay.
I just,
we'll look into that.
I just changed it on the post, and it was the same link.
So weird.
I don't get it. And then I tried to click it, and I came straight in.
Well, I don't mind using the numbers.
No.
And we do want to simplify it as much as possible.
Yeah.
so that people
It
aren't
should
getting
just be
locked
click,
out.
and then you're in.
Yeah.
I have it in my calendar somewhere. I saved it a long time ago into my Google Calendar. And I just click on that. And it says something about you're leaving Facebook. Is that okay? And I say yes, and then I'm in.
Huh. I don't know.
Oh no.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
weird. Well, I'm glad that you
I
all
do,
managed to
yeah.
get it to work one way
Yeah,
or
yeah,
another.
yeah.
All of
Yeah,
the
definitely.
all the technological weirdness aside. No,
And
thank you,
thank you for
Fiona.
making us aware of it.
Amazing. Thank you, Cleona. We'll do that afterwards.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so strange.
Oh, we're here.
We're here. Okay. Let me close the. Oop. Okay. And for the meditation, I'm just going to pin us to make things easier